Hey, you want to hear something cool? Hear the thing. In the early 1900s, in Key West, Florida, a young boy was turning 10 years old. His name was Eugene Robert Otto. He was given a one-of-a-kind, child-sized doll that his father had found while vacationing overseas. This doll was originally dressed as a jester, but Gene decided he was going to give the doll his own sailor suit, and also imbue the doll with his own middle name. And this begins the story of Robert the Doll. Robert the Doll is a cloth doll, not unlike the real Annabelle. The Annabelle in the films is a porcelain-faced doll, very creepy looking. But the real-life Annabelle is a 1960s Raggedy Ann doll. All cloth, button eyes, not very menacing to look at. Gene, when he was 10 years old, woke in the middle of the night to find Robert the Doll sitting on the edge of his bed, not where he had left him. Later that night, his mother woke to the sound of furniture moving around and yelling. She tried to open the door to Gene's bedroom, but couldn't get it open. When she finally did pry it open, she found the room was completely trashed. Everything was strewn about. Gene was huddled up in the corner of the bed, terrified, and Robert the Doll was sitting on the edge of the bed. After this incident, the parents would hear various conversations between Gene and Robert. They said Robert the Doll had an adult voice that was very distinct. They would leave Robert the Doll in various places around the house, only to find later that he had moved, usually to a window where he could look outside, especially if Gene was out of the house. Robert the Doll continued to live with Gene until Gene's parents eventually died. And when Gene moved back into his parents' house, despite his wife's objections, he gave the entire third floor to Robert the Doll. He said he did this because Robert likes to look out onto the street. He likes to see people. His wife, Anne, was very uneasy about all of this. One time, she decided to lock Robert the Doll in the attic while Gene was at work. For weeks afterwards, anyone that came by said that they could hear footsteps and giggling coming from the attic. Children would pass the house and look up into the attic windows and say that they would see Robert the Doll mocking them as they passed. Robert the Doll currently resides in Key West, Florida, and even though he's in a glass case, they say he still moves. There are several rules if you're going to take a photo with Robert. The rules are written in front of the glass case where he's currently residing. The first rule is you need to introduce yourself. The second rule is you need to ask permission to take photos. The third rule is you need to thank Robert the Doll before you leave. The fourth rule is always be polite. Many have mocked these rules and seemingly have paid the price. They seem to all come back teary-eyed and trying to repent, trying to get Robert to forgive them for mocking him in the past. Some have pages-long letters begging him to forgive them and talking about all the hardships that has befallen them since they mocked Robert the Doll. Partially because of this, I would like to say, hello, Robert the Doll. I'm Brian P. Gallagher. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to talk about you on Hear the Thing. I think you're a wonderful doll, and we thank you very much for your contributions. We hope you have a wonderful night. Good night, Robert. And with that, this has been the story of the oldest haunted doll in the United States, Robert the Doll. I'm Brian P. Gallagher. Join me next time on Hear the Thing. Hey, you want to hear something cool?